Hello and welcome to Super Sunday at Motegi. This was race one yesterday in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup, another race that was won by the number 2 Zen Mitani, who got the whole shot into turn 1 from his Japanese compatriot Ojiwara, and immediately at the front we saw a 3-rider breakaway. Ikegami on the 14 joined Ojiwara and Mitani at the front, and it was a battle all the way to the finish line. Consistently, the riders were chopping and changing positions, and the two in the background, Ramadipa and Takahira, broke clear of the chasing pack to fight it out for P4 and P5. But ultimately, it was all down to these 3 riders, a trio of Japanese youngsters, all fighting out to stand on the top step of the podium. Mitani was making moves up several places, as was Ikegami. Ojiwara was keeping his powder dry for most of it. This was down at turn 5, Mitani diving up the inside of Ikegami. But Ikegami did fight straight back the rookie in a really impressive display once again from the number 14. This is when Ojiwara decided to go for it. 2 riders in one, a nice little bit of slipstream down from turn 2 into turn 3, but the number 16 ran wide and lost the positions right away. And this was on the final lap. Mitani leading the way onto the final lap here in Motegi and produced a masterclass of a last lap. And then got his head behind the bubble on the run to line, out of victory corner, and it was victory number 5 sealed for the number 2, who continues his momentum in 2024. 5 wins out of a possible 7, and his other 2 results have been a second place, so he's only failed to pick up 10 points this season. 165 from a maximum of 175. It has been simply astonishing in 2024. Can anyone halt Mitani's momentum though? As we begin race day here at Motegi, fans already piling into the circuit. Nice queues getting into the Mobility Resort Motegi this morning, so we're expecting a bumper crowd of action. And there you can see some blue skies. We've not seen them for a couple of days here in Japan. All day yesterday was fairly miserable. Didn't get any downpours in terms of proper rain, but it was pretty much drizzle all the way through yesterday, which made it difficult for these riders. But arguably these conditions this morning are a little bit trickier because we've got a half wet, half dry track. It is drying very quickly though, and as we saw yesterday, even with the drizzle, you can set all-time lap records. Even Otola especially going 3/10 clear of his rivals on a damp track in Moto 3, but the riders understandably coming through pit lanes to complete 2 sighting laps to get a real feel of the conditions. I think I saw Mitani there on slick tyres, so we'll see what the riders start the race on. But if I had to hazard a guess, it looks like it's drying quickly. It looks like there's a dry line out there, so I think they'll be going out on slick tyres because we don't expect any rain to come today really, after looking at weather forecasts all the way through yesterday and this morning. So hopefully we're going to have a full dry day. Elliot York with you here, myself and Jack Appleyard once again bringing you the action. As you see the riders pile out of pit lane, Jack, it was another fantastic race yesterday after 2 spellbinders in Indonesia. But again, it's all about one rider in 2024. The question is, can his momentum be stopped here on Sunday morning?
Well, looking at the form book, the answer is it's very much unlikely. As you said right to the top of the broadcast, out of a possible 175 points in 2024, Mitani has scored 165 of them. His cup lead at this current moment is 64 points. If he's able to avoid disaster today, in 3 weeks' time, we'll head on to the Chang International Circuit on the undercard of the Thai Grand Prix. And Mitani will have himself the opportunity to wrap up the 2024 Asia Talent Cup in either the first or the second race that weekend. I feel that there's a certain inevitability, not only about Mitani being up there fighting for the win this afternoon, or this morning, sorry, but there's a certain inevitability that the 2024 Cup is only going in one direction at the moment. It's going to take something rather spectacular, not only on the half of his rivals, but more importantly, it's going to take quite a spectacular falling apart at the seams from Mitani, which so far we've seen absolutely zero evidence that that is anywhere near close to happening.
Yeah, it does feel like a matter of when now and not if. We got a sense of that in Indonesia, but after winning the opening race here yesterday afternoon, it does feel like that. It's Don't want to write off the championship just yet, of course, but it is looking very, very unlikely that anyone else but Zen Matani will be taking the title, and he will deserve it as well.
Yeah, the pace yesterday from those top three riders, Matani, who of course won in the end, Ojiwara, who came across the line in second, and Ikegami, who was third. They were all quite comfortably in the latter stages, lapping in the 2-minute ones. Now, the best race lap, the lap record that has stood here for 8 years, held by Kazuki Masaki back in 2016, is a 2:01.5. So they were right on record pace yesterday with those three. They were lapping comfortably, half a second a lap quicker than the gaggle behind. So, unless those riders that came across the line in 4th and 5th yesterday, talking, of course, about Riichi Takahira and Kiandra Ramadipa. Takahira in particular is once again going to have to come through from the back of the grid. Unless they've been able to find something remarkable overnight, I'd be amazed if we don't see those same three riders able to pull clear and fight it out for the podium places again. Just their advantage was so impressive yesterday.
Yeah, got the starts they wanted, did all three. Ikegami coming from the third row, Ojiwara coming from the second row, and of course Matani on pole position. All three got a fantastic start. Matani the whole shot, Ojiwara second, Ikegami into third, and then immediately on the opening lap just pulled clear. And as you say, Jack, set an unbelievable pace, at least a second quicker in the open exchanges. The chasers did manage to bridge that gap slightly, but by then it was too late.
If you weren't with us yesterday, what a story that is on the front row of the grid. Shingo Idaka from Tokyo making his debut appearance this weekend in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. It's a wildcard appearance. I've got a sneaky feeling he may well be invited back full-time next year. Only 14 years of age, but did a magnificent job yesterday to come across the line in 7th in his first ever Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup race. Yes, was slightly fortunate to be on the front row of the grid in changeable, dodgy conditions, but he was the man that was able to put the lap together and stuck it on the front row of the grid. We were concerned that maybe at such a young age he could have been slightly overawed of being here at the Japanese Grand Prix in front of all of his heroes, but he certainly got stuck in yesterday. A brilliant ride from the young man. And I get a feeling that that's a name that us in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup commentary box may well be talking about at length over the coming years.
I think so, yeah. What a performance yesterday from Idaka on the front row of the home GP. I don't think he was expecting that. I don't think anyone was expecting that. And why would we? A wildcard rider coming into such a competitive class and stick it on the front row and finished inside the top 10 and well inside the top 10 as well, battling out with the likes of Levi Rusu, Singapong, Takamoto, another rookie going really well. So fantastic stuff from Idaka, and let's see what he can do today from the front row.
Ikegami unlucky yesterday to finish third, I feel. He was setting the pace for the vast majority of yesterday's 13-lap event. I'm sure he'll be quietly confident of taking the fight to Matani today, as Riichi Takahira waves to the crowd, all eyes on him, still manages to hold on to second in the cup standings after coming through to 5th yesterday from the back of the grid, but now he's got to do it all over again. Just quickly, one for your notes as well. Long lap penalty in this one for Ricky Henry, the Australian, after taking out Alfonsi Dakigan down at turn 11 on the final lap yesterday.
Yeah, we saw plenty of overtaking moves down there on the final lap yesterday. And unfortunately for Henry starting P9, it is a long lap penalty in this race. So we'll see what Henry can do from the third row of the grid. And talking of, here is your grid then for race 2. Matani, Hafai, another rider who crashed out yesterday, and Idaka. Ojiwara goes from row 2 with Schmidt and Russo. Ikegami, Singapore and Henry are your row 3. Row 4 is led by Ramadipa, the P4 finisher from yesterday. Zakan and Pratum Tong join the Indonesian. Dakigan, Dave and Nakiba on row 5, and row 6 headed by Takahira, Takamoto and Tanashot. Takahira, as we've just mentioned, work to do once again if he's to peg back Zen Matani in the title race. 64 points down is Takahira, and at the start of this race he needs the likes of Matani, Ojiwara, Ikegami to not get as good a start as they did yesterday. Takahira needs an absolute stormer like he did yesterday, but already in those opening laps it was a bridge too far to cross for Takehira. So he needs an absolute worldie of a start once again, and he needs the likes of potentially Hafai on the number 19. Idaka, of course, starting on the front row. Archie Schmidt, who equalled his best result yesterday in P10. And Levi Russo, who also starts on the second row. Another P8 for Levi Russo yesterday, a good result for young Australian. So he needs those riders to try and get a good start and mess with the rhythm of Mitani and the likes of in the opening laps.
As you can see there is an obvious dry line here. Everyone is out there on slick tyres, goes without saying. But after overnight rain, slightly cloudy, overcast conditions, the track hasn't dried at the same rate that we've seen throughout Friday and Saturday when it was slightly more humid. There are certainly some patches out there that these guys are going to have to be careful with in the opening couple of laps. If you're on the racing line, if you're leading the race, no problem whatsoever. If you're trying to get past someone and you're having to go slightly offline, I think there's going to have to be caution taken, certainly early on, before they get a good feel for exactly where those dangerous areas are going to be.
Yeah, down there into the braking zone of turn 9 looks a little bit sketchy, a little bit more wet than other parts of the circuit potentially, and overtaking exactly what Takehira is going to have to do. And Ramadipa on the number 7. He goes from P10 on the grid, the rider third in the standings now, 71 points down on Mitani is the Indonesian. So the riders further back in the fields are going to have to take some risks here, unfortunately. As you see the riders plunge down the hill into turn 11, the 0.7 kilometre long back straight here at Motegi. It's where the race was potentially won and lost yesterday. Some fantastic moves down into the hill at turn 11. Are we going to see plenty more today? I think we are. It's pretty much dry through there, which is good news. And then coming through the final sector, it looks fairly dry as well. So caution will be needed on the opening few laps to try and work out where the grip is and where they need to push and potentially be a little bit more careful. Takehira, unfortunately, can't be too careful at any point on the number 9 machine.
There's the man in the moment then, Zen Mitani will fire away from pole position. 5 victories to his name so far in 2024. Can he make it 6? Can he make it a dream double on home soil? The form book suggests this is only going in one direction, but I got a sneaky feeling his compatriots in Ryota Ojiwara and Seiru Ikegami have watched and learned from yesterday's encounter and fancy their chances of stopping him today.
Here we go then, race 2 of Asia Talent Cup action here, and Japan is about to get underway. The green flag has waved, the lights will eventually come on. Here they are, and away we go. From pole position goes Mitani. It looks like again Hafai got a decent start from the middle of the front row, but it is Mitani on the number 2. It looks like he's going to get the whole shot like he did in race 1 on the number 2. Hafai into second, Ojiwara getting a good start again from 4th. He dives into 3rd briefly. I think that's Idaka, sorry, on the number 25 machine. A good start from the debutant. He's going to get his elbows out with Ojiwara, and the number 14 of Ikegami is going to take a 2-for-1 deal down at turn 3. So Ikegami from P7 up to P3 already. A great start from the Japanese rookie.
It is. He's managed to settle himself quite nicely into that top 5. Our podium men of yesterday, Ojiwara and Ikegami, making early progress as we expected them to do. And Hafai looks to be fancying his chances today as well. He's a little bit of an unknown from yesterday. Farish Hafai crashed out very early on, and we didn't get an indication of just how strong his pace is. If this opening half a lap is anything to go by, that 6-wheeler we fancied we'd see could well become an 8-wheeler.
Fingers crossed. Mitani, though, already stretching his legs at the front. Clearly confident Mitani, we've seen it all season long, but he's got to the front of the pack exactly where he wanted to be. But I had a couple of sighting laps to see where he needed to push his Ikegami. He gets the hurry up. He dives into P2 down at turn 9. A great move from Ikegami, but you can see there already Mitani is breaking clear. The gap is up to a good half a second plus as Ojiwara looks to potentially go up the inside of Hafai, not this time around. So Ikegami then from P7 to P2 in less than a lap. Great job from the number 14 as the number 20 runs wide. Singapong getting his elbows out with Ramadipa, but they've got the chase. They've got to get their head down and try and cling on to Mitani, who's breaking clear on this opening lap. Yeah, Ikegami yesterday, for me, was just as impressive as Zen Mitani.
was able to control the pace, control the rhythm at the front for the vast majority of the race, and then was just slightly unlucky on the last lap as he was trying to line up the perfect move on Motegi to try and steal the lead away from him. Ojiwara took him by surprise, and it completely stopped any chances of him taking victory. In the end, had to settle for third. There's going to be none of that today, I fancy.
No, so over the line then, 0.7 of a second is Motegi's advantage on that opening lap. So under a second is okay for now, but they've got to try and peg him back. He's broken the slipstream. You can see there quite visibly now the sun is out where the wet patches are, but you can see on the racing line pretty much all dry from turn 2 into turn 3. Ojiwara has now got past Hafai, as well as Ramadipa goes up the inside of the number 15 of Archie Schmidt. So Ramadipa then making decent progress for now, but you can see there a gap between the top 5 at this moment in time. There's a big gap, and Takahira again has made a good start. He's already into the top 10 on the moment, just in the background there, but it's not enough at this moment in time.
Look at this from Shingo Idaka, diving up the inside of the man that finished on the podium yesterday. He couldn't make it stick, but Shingo Idaka, let's remind you, this is only second ever Age of Talent Cup race. It's his wildcard debut weekend, only 14 years of age. He's getting his muscles out, he's flexing them, and he's challenging the top guys. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from the debutant. Phenomenal stuff. He can just cling on to the coattails of the top 4. That'll be a magnificent job. Well done. It already is a magnificent weekend, but it could get even better for the number 25. Just confirmation there, the championship standings. Obviously, Motegi will be extending his lead, but he's not extended his lead in this race on this lap. It has been pegged back. Well, it did do in the second sector. He's just eked it out to 0.8 of a second in the third split. So Ikegami doing well to try and cling on to the race leader, Motegi. We'll see what the lap times are, of course, at the end of this lap. Ojiwara going with the top 3 as well. So it was your top 3 from yesterday. He's your top 3 in this race. For now, Hafai just hasn't quite got the pace, it seems, after getting a good start in this second lap to try and cling on to the top 3. These top 3, as I mentioned, demonstrated superb pace yesterday, and they are doing already. So we'll get them over the line then. Lap 2 completed. Motegi sets the fastest lap, as does Ikegami and Ojiwara. Ojiwara slightly faster, 0.3 faster. You can see there on your timing screens were the 2 chasers, so the gap is coming down at the front.
And they're down to it straight away in terms of pace. Look at that, a 2:01.9 from Ojiwara. That's only a 1/10 of a second adrift of the fastest lap of yesterday's encounter. Remind you, all-time lap record of 2:01.4. It took them a good 6 or 7 laps to get down to that rhythm yesterday. No problems today, straight at it. And as you can see, nobody can live with that kind of pace. The gap already between 3rd and 4th is pretty substantial. And then 4th and 5th is quite the gap back to Ramadipa in 6th as well. It's quite a spread out event already, all down to the fact that Motegi's hit the front and is stretching them out.
Yeah, exactly that. Proper good pace being set by the top 3, and it's closing in ever so slightly. Another 0.2 in those opening 2 sectors. Ikegami is reeling in the race leader, and Ojiwara is coming with the number 14. So we've got a 3-rider battle, as we did yesterday. The same 3, a Japanese triple threat at the front. We're going to focus in now, I assume, yes, on the number 9 of Takahira. He crossed the line in 7th place, but he is 4.5 seconds down on the leaders. So if anything not strange happens in this race, Takahira isn't going to be in the podium fight, unfortunately, for the Japanese rider. But again, great. Oh, as we see a problem, is that Hafai? No, it's Ramadipa on the number 7. A problem with the number 7 machine, unfortunately, on that Honda. It looks like it's given up the ghost. He's trying to get it going again, but there was clear smoke. He has got it going again, so interesting to see what caused that problem for the number 7.
Well, what on earth happened there? It's very, very rare for these standard Moto3 machines to come under any sort of technical problems. It's a huge rarity, so I'm not sure what happened there, but at least Ramadipa has got it going again and he's back out there, but obviously has lost plenty of progress. And look at that, Ojiwara in the back of the pack, a 2:01.346. That best race lap has just been smashed. The all-time lap record has just been smashed. All-time lap record has stood since 2019. The best race lap since 2016. A historic pace been set at the front. A new all-time lap record for Ojiwara. These 3 are in a world of their own at the moment.
Top stuff from Ojiwara, and we can see the number 7 of Ramadipa has got going again. We're going to get a replay now of what happened up at turn 10. This is just coming onto the exit. So the The bike was smoking there in the background. Clearly Ramadipa knew that he had a problem. Just seeing the aftermath of it there. So, he got his boot caught in the rear wheel.
Deary me.
Oh, wow.
I don't think I've ever seen that. How on earth has that happened?
I'm glad he's okay, because that's a potentially dangerous situation. So Ramadipa then somehow getting his boot caught in the rear wheel. And like you, Jack, I've absolutely never seen anything like that before. So what I can say is that his right foot's okay and he's back on in the race. But of course it is potentially a top 10 over and done with Ramadipa, unfortunately, who continues his wilder brewing streak of form. No podium in the last 3, of course. Didn't podium in Indonesia after picking up 2 podiums in the first 4 races. So Ramadipa's early season title charge, unfortunately, pretty much coming to an end at turn 10 here in Motegi.
So at the front, it's still Mitani that leads the way, but that early advantage that he had has been whistled away by Ikegami. Never mind, whistled away, it's just been taken away from him as the young Japanese rider slices his way through on Mitani to hit the front with Ojiwara, the man that's just set the fastest ever Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup lap around this Mobility Resort Motegi circuit. Now looking pretty ominous, sat there in 3rd as well, not for long. Here he comes side by side with Mitani, surely going to have a look up the inside into the opening corner, but Mitani moves to the inside and just closes off any avenues for Ojiwara. So it's almost a carbon copy of what we saw yesterday. Ikegami at the front, and he'll be more than happy to sit there and set the rhythm, set the pace.
Or will he? Because Mitani then dives up the inside at turn 3 and retakes the lead. We've seen this ever so often in 2024. Mitani, once he loses a position, runs wide onto track limits, so got to be a little bit careful there with 9 laps to go. Don't want to do that too many times, otherwise you're going to get a long lap penalty. Mitani then hitting the front, runs a little bit wide there down at turn 5, but nothing too much to worry about so far. Ikegami, as he was doing yesterday, takes a long look over his shoulder under the famous tunnel here at Motegi and sees a face full of Ojiwara, as he did yesterday. So I think Ikegami now realised that it's a carbon copy and paste from yesterday. The top 3 Japanese riders battling away, and they've got a near 5-second advantage back to the wildcard rider Hidaka, doing fantastic once again with Hafai in tow, and Takahira's trying to do his best, set his personal best race lap, a good half a second quicker than he was, Takahira, than Hidaka and Hafai on that last lap. So it looks like Takahira's going to do a good job of trying to get into that top 4 battle, as he was yesterday on the number 9. Here is that battle, Hafai just shadowing the wildcard rider for now, who again will say what a fantastic job it has been for the number 25 and the number 19 after missing the race yesterday. Of course, missed some valuable track time in doing so, so just got to try and get his head down, Hafai, and build some confidence, and then potentially attacking the latter stages to try and get that P4. But it is all about, once again, these 3 Japanese riders in the top 3, 9 laps to go, and it'll be 8 in a couple of seconds time. 3-way rider for the win. Here we go in Japan once again.
Ikegami did lead us over the line 1 lap ago, has since been shuffled back to 3rd, and the man that started the last lap in 3rd is going to start this one now in the lead. For the first time, it is Ojiwara that hits the front, and now all 3 of these riders have at least had a taste of leading this race. It means that all 3 of these riders have had the opportunity to have a good look at their rivals as well. Not that they didn't get an opportunity to really download as much information about their competitors yesterday.
How long is Mitani going to sit in P2 then? My bet is not for very long. He gets a nice little bit of slipstream down into turn 5, but thinks better of it. Ojiwara good onto the brakes down into turn 5. Then it's all about getting a good run out of turn 5, through the tunnel, through the fast sweeping right-hander of turn 6, 130R into turn 7 and 8. A couple more fast sweeping curves here at Motegi before it gets into the stop-start zone again. So normally it's line of stern through here, but Mitani pouncing into the race lead at turn 7. That was turn 8, and this is turn 9. It bit Jorge Martin yesterday. A tricky corner to get right, but Ikegami got it right there. Once again, we saw this yesterday as well. Ikegami great on the brakes down into turn 9, left-hander. So Ojiwara has gone from the lead on this opening lap back to P2 in a matter of corners. This is how quickly it changes in the Asia Talent Cup. Great stuff from Mitani in the Ikegami, and as we can see, Takahira now latches onto the back with the fight for P4, still led by Hidaka.
Actually, on that last lap, Takahira's the fastest man on track. Mitani, Ojiwara, Ikegami at the front. These three have just rolled off the pace ever so slightly now that they've come together into a lead group, now that they've been swapping places. So as a result, an opportunity for Takahira to be the fastest man out there, and he's made light work of Hafei. And I fear for our 14-year-old rookie, he's not going to be sat in fourth place for long. Takahira is a man on a mission at the moment. He's going to very soon make his way through into fourth spot. Was fifth over the line yesterday. If he's able to hold on and take fourth today, it's not a bad salvage job, given what a disaster qualifying was for the Japanese star.
Yeah, he's going to be ruining that qualifying crash yesterday early in the session that didn't allow Takahira to even set a lap time. That's why he was on the back row of the grid in P16. Always a tough job coming from further down the field when the pace at the front is this hot, as Ikegami then leads once more into turn 3. This is going to change lap by lap, corner by corner. Mitani thinks better of it down into turn 5 again. So all these riders are fancying a bit of race lead action. They don't want to be sitting behind too long. As we know from yesterday, they already know where their competitors are strong. They're stronger. They'll have probably watched the race back as well, or at least some highlights to get into the data, the telemetry, and see where they can improve. But it looks like if they have improved, they've all improved, because again, this is a 3-rider fight for victory. Ojiwara shadowing up the inside at turn 9, but not this time around. He's going to go all the way down to the wire. Takahira, interesting to see what Takahira can do now. He's got to the front of the chasing pack, but 5.8 seconds, unless these guys really start roughing each other up, disrupting the rhythm. And even then, I don't think that 5-second gap is going to come down by too much, because they've got similar pace. As I say, Takahira crashing in qualifying yesterday, not able to set a lap. Potentially could have been in this battle, but wasn't to be, unfortunately, for Takahira on home soil.
Yeah, just like we've seen yesterday, it's turned into a chess match in these middle laps. We're all just waiting for the fuse to be lit. With 2 or 3 laps remaining, who is going to leave enough left in the tank to be able to fight in the final couple of laps? The closing stages are going to be spectacular. But right now, it's just about making sure you get to those final laps with enough in store where you feel you're going to be the one in the strongest position to take victory. We saw yesterday that Ikegami thought that he was going to be best placed starting the final lap in second, hoping to try and surprise Mitani. That didn't work. This time around, will we see slightly different tactics? Will he be allowed to use slightly different tactics, or will Mitani, just like he's done there, get his way to the front and not give anyone a sniff? It was an unbelievable final lap yesterday. The pace he was able to put down in that final 4.8 kilometres didn't give anyone an opportunity to even show him a front wheel. I'm sure that both Ojiwara and Ikegami will be hoping that they can at least do that on the final lap today. 5.5 laps remaining. It's still Mitani that leads the way, but for how long? Here comes Ikegami, firing up the inside. He did that quite a bit yesterday. This is his favourite part of the track. When it gets fast and flowing, Ikegami has clearly got a bit of an advantage. That was a lovely move up through turn 7. He has run wide though, a chance for Mitani to respond, but instead he tried to go around the outside, left too much space open on the inside, and through goes Ojiwara.
One thing I have noticed, example A there, Ojiwara is getting busier earlier in this race than he did yesterday. Was happy to sit in P3 for plenty of laps. Yesterday was the number 16, made a move at the inside, as we saw in the highlights, down at turn 3 with 2 laps to go, and made that mistake and then had to try and build his way back into the race. But he's getting in amongst it in the earlier exchanges here as he takes the race lead down the hill. That was very, very easy for the number 16. Obviously got a great run out of turn 10 and down the hill into turn 11, just past him before we pretty much even got into the braking zone. So Ojiwara then was P3, then he was P2, and now he's P1 with 5 and 1 corner to go. Across the line, it will be 5 laps to go. So Ojiwara from Ikegami from Mitani. How can Mitani respond? Ikegami is already trying to respond down into turn 1. A good use of the slipstream from the number 14, and once again the lead changes hands. This is going to change by corner by corner. 5 laps to go. This is where it's going to start getting busy. We already saw it on the last lap. The lead's changed at least 2, 3, 4 times. And Ojiwara then, after losing the race lead, Ikegami is going to I think, dive at the inside once again. So great battle in between the pair. Mitani's just watching on, thinking, okay, this is how we're going to play it. Where can I make my move? And where can I make it stick and potentially pull clear? But this is a fascinating battle.
Certainly is, with Ikegami leading the way, as usual. Say that and then ask for how long, but at least in towards turn 5, he still leads the way. And this is going to be interesting here. Through 6, 7, 8, 9, as they start to flow. Can he just open up a bit of an advantage? No, none of the such. Instead, Ojiwara is going to do to Ikegami what Ikegami did to Mitani 1 lap ago. But the number 14 was able to hold on there. He did flick it through 7 and 8. As you can see, just opened up a bit of a gap there, at least a bike length, not allowing the number 16 of Ojiwara any opportunity through 9. Up now towards turn 10. This is going to be a vital corner come the final couple of laps. You can make a surprise move there if you want to, but the big issue if you are to dive through, you're going to really disrupt any kind of drive on the run down the back straight, downhill in towards turn number 11, the 90-degree corner. This is the overtaking hotspot on the final lap. Ooh. Oh, big mistake. First time we've seen a mistake from any of those leading trio yesterday or today as well. And it comes from Ikegami, gets his braking all wrong down into turn 11 and now drops back to 3rd.
Certainly does. Interesting to see how far the gap is from Ikegami. That was a little bit of an error, the first error we've seen from Ikegami in the first couple of races here. Now he's got a lot of work to do. What's the gap over the line? It's 8 tenths to the top 2, Ikegami. So if he gets his head down and these two battle away like they probably are going to do, all is not lost for Ikegami. But I was about to say this next 4 laps is going to be a bit of a rehearsal for the final lap. Ikegami just getting it a little bit wrong there down the hill into turn 11. Easily done, of course, but he's got to get his head down now on the number 14 and try and catch up to Mitani and Ojiwara, who will have both seen that.
Yeah, they're pushing at the front now. They see this as an opportunity to try and break clear and make sure it's just 2 riders fighting for victory. You saw Mitani asking for the power as he flicked it left through turn 4. A little bit of twitch on the rear. Luckily managed to keep it line astern. Meanwhile, Ikegami, so far, it was 8 tenths of a second. They go through the first split, already down to 6 tenths. You can see that he's closing in. But this is a significant point in the race now. Mitani's lead at the front, as big as it has been for quite some time, as we see a replay here of exactly what happened with Ikegami. He looks down, maybe hit a false neutral, potentially just pushing him wide. Don't have a real understanding of what happened there, but he's got his head back down. He's quickly into a rhythm, and he is closing back in. 3 tenths of a second the difference between Ojiwara in 2nd and Ikegami in 3rd at the halfway point. And just like that, we're back to 3. Panic station's over.
Yeah, top job from Ikegami. Less than a lap. He lost a second on that lap when he ran wide. He's already bridged that gap, so fantastic stuff from Ikegami. Got his head down, potentially used a bit of slipstream as well. And now he's right back in the fight. No mistake this time around down at turn 11 for the number 14. It did look like he potentially missed a gear or hit a false neutral on that Honda 250 NSR machine, but no such worries now. He's back with the leaders, so after a slight scare, it is Mitani from Ojiwara from Ikegami. Any one of these 3 riders can stand on the top step. Hopefully, for the championship's sake and Takahira's sake, it won't be Mitani, and Ojiwara and Ikegami will be thinking the same. But 3 laps to go then here in Motegi. Mitani leads. Can he make it 6 out of 8 race wins in 2024? And can Ojiwara make it 2 wins? And Ikegami, can he make it his first?
Really impressive stuff from Ikegami then. When he had to put his foot down, he was able to produce a 2-minute 1.7. He was 3/4 of a second quicker than the duo ahead of him. Feel as though the pace is going to really ramp up now after that middle period of the race when the guys were going around about a second slower than what we saw at the start. Now that we're edging ever closer to that checkered flag, they're going to start to push the envelope. And there you see, when he had to, Ikegami produced a brilliant lap to get right back onto the rear wheel of the leading 2.
Yeah, phenomenal from Ikegami to go pretty much half a second and more quicker than the riders ahead of him. Mitani still leading, 2.5 laps to go. Now what can Ojiwara and Ikegami do? Ikegami clearly has a little bit of pace in hand, but I'm sure all 3 of these riders do. Ikegami shadowing a move up the inside at turn 9. Doesn't quite make it stick this time around, but this is the part of the race, especially in a lapsed time, where you're going to need to try and place yourself in the best place possible. They allowed Mitani, or didn't allow, Mitani made sure that he was leading onto the last lap yesterday. Ikegami, and Ojiwara don't want to allow the same to happen, because if Mitani can unravel a final lap like he did in race 1, then Ikegami and Ojiwara don't really stand a chance. Here we go, down the hill into turn 11.
Oh, this is good stuff. I thought Ojiwara was going to just dive through there. From what we've seen so far in 2024, they just can't let Mitani have it all his own way. You're going to have to be aggressive, you're going to have to be rough, you're going to have to be quite rude, because if you just allow him to go do things at his own pace, at his own rhythm, then this result is only going in one direction. 2 laps to go then. Can Ojiwara and Ikegami do something to stop Mitani from making it 6 out of 8? Yes, he can. There goes Ojiwara up the inside as we start the penultimate lap.
This is where it gets busy then. 2 laps to go. Ojiwara makes his move down at turn 1. How does Mitani then respond? On the drive up to turn 3 out of turn 2, he's shadowing a move at the inside, but so is Ikegami on the inside of Mitani. Mitani goes from race lead to P3 in 3 corners. Great stuff then from Ojiwara in Ikegami with 1 3/4 laps to go. Mitani is now P3. How will the title chase leader respond?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. What have you got now, Zen Mitani? His back's against the wall. This is what he's got. Quickly through into second spot, shadowing Ikegami, who for me is his real danger man. Ojiwara has looked good, but Ikegami had the pace yesterday, has had it today, so I think he's more concerned about the pace of the 14. Can he find a way through? Can Ojiwara maybe respond and start to disrupt Mitani once again? This is going to be a fascinating final lap and a half.
It's head down time then for Ikegami, runs slightly wide, but that's his normal racing line through there, but it allows the riders to just catch up by a 10th or 2 coming into turn 9, but no moves there made on the penultimate lap. Now it's all about getting a good run into turn 10, and then we go down the hill into turn 11. Mitani thinks about a move into the turn 10 hairpin, and now who's going to get the best drive for the penultimate time out of turn 10? Down the hill into turn 11. Ojiwara, good place to get a double piece of slipstream. Here we go, 3 abreast pretty much over the crest, down into turn 10. Mitani on the inside. It looks like Mitani on the number 2 is going to take the lead. Ojiwara though, diving at the inside, a late move into P2. Ikegami down to P3.
Gets it stopped as Ojiwara. Fair play. For a second I thought that was going to be tight in towards turn 11, but thank goodness we have still the 3 there fighting with just 1 lap to go, and this feels oh so familiar to yesterday. Zen Mitani leads us onto the final lap with about a bike length advantage. It only went one way yesterday. It didn't give them a chance to even show a front wheel. Will things be different this time around?
Last lap time there here in Motegi. Mitani gets 1 and 2 done and dusted, but Ojiwara and Ikegami are right there with him. They've got to try and make a move early doors, disrupt the rhythm of Mitani, ruffle his feathers. Down into turn 3 we go. Ikegami on the inside of Ojiwara. Is that going to make a move stick? Yes it is. So Ikegami then up to P2. Can he make a move into turn 5 on Mitani?
So where do you make the move here? Is he close enough to go through down here on the run into turn 5? I don't think he is. He's going to surely have to try and build some speed, build some rhythm, and maybe come up with a surprise move in towards turn 7 and 8, where we've seen throughout the race he's been so strong. Here we go, the fast turn 6 coming up, 130R, and suddenly Ikegami is building here.
He certainly is. So into turn 7, he's got a nice run through 6. No move this time around though at turn 7. Turn 8 really isn't a passing manoeuvre, but you can set one up through 8 and into 9. We've seen it from Ikegami there, nearly touching the rear wheel of Mitani. Doesn't run as wide. Is he going to make a move down into turn 9 though? No one is close enough this time around. It could all come down to turn 11.
I think it is. We're heading up towards turn 10 now. Only half a lap remains, and it's still Mitani that leads the way, just like he did yesterday in towards 10. Get it absolutely right. Make sure that you pick it up, fire it down for Ikegami and Ojiwara. Get yourself tucked beneath the bubble as hard as you possibly can do, and just hope that you can slipstream your way past the number 2, the championship leader. He goes defensive, but it won't count. Ikegami has the slipstream and manages to drag past, but it's Mitani on the inside that outbreaks the pair of them and may well hold on for victory number 6.
Well-class defender then from Mitani. Can Ikegami respond? Into turn 13 we go. Not quite close enough this time around. It's all about the run out of victory corner then. Mitani, it's magical, it's masterful. Is it going to be another victory in Motegi for the number 2? A run to the line. Ikegami takes it on the line, I think. Yes, he does. What a run out of victory corner from Ikegami. Denies Mitani another win on home turf. And Ikegami then, the rookie, is a first-time winner here in the ATC. Fantastic stuff from the number 14. What an incredible run from Ikegami out that final corner. Wow, what a finish. 26 thousandths of a second. Ojiwara a close third, but couldn't quite do anything about it. What a final lap, Jack.
Oh, brilliant stuff. And you have to say, Ikegami deserves that one. A first ever win in the Asia Talent Cup for the number 14. He was unlucky yesterday to get beaten up on the final lap and finish third. He had to overcome that mistake with 4 laps to go down into turn 11, but boy did he respond. He tried to get it done into turn 11, but Mitani had an answer. Mitani had no answer for the 14, firing it out to the final corner and just about dragging him to the line. The top 3 split by 78 1,000ths of a second. Ikegami gets it by only 26 1,000ths of a second. What a brilliant race.
Once again, those 3 riders treating us to an absolutely spectacular battle. And it all came down, well, it came down to the final run to the line, but turn 11, love to get a replay of what happened down the hill into turn 11. Mitani defending so brilliantly on the inside. Ikegami trying his best, but Mitani bit back. But Ikegami got a fantastic run out of turn 14 and won the drag race to the line. Feel a little bit for Ojiwara in the battle throughout, led a few laps as well, was right in the hunt, but couldn't quite make a move when Ikegami and Mitani were battling with each other. But Ojiwara, another podium on home turf, a P2 yesterday, a P3 today, top stuff from Ojiwara. But wow, what a run from Ikegami, what a race win from the rookie. Difficult to remember that he is a rookie in this class, of course. He's been up the front in every single race this year so far on the number 14. He really is a rider to watch from Japan in the years to come, as well as Mitani and Ojiwara, of course, a Japanese top 5 incidentally. So the home fans who are piling their way into the circuit for Grand Prix race day here at the Japanese Grand Prix have been treated to another fantastic race and a Japanese top 5. So a fantastic start for the home crowd.
Yeah, I hope we can see that final sector again. On the way down into 11, Mitani went as defensive as you possibly could. He was on the wrong side of the white line, on the wrong side of the track, leaving Ikegami no choice but to go around him. As soon as he dragged past him, I thought that was it. Ikegami was surely going to lead, but Mitani, how on earth he got it stopped into 11 whilst hugging the white line on the inside, I do not know. From that, I thought that was that. We saw it yesterday. He led out to the final corner, and both Ikegami and Ojiwara were unable to out-drag him to the line. This time around, a different story though. And for the very first time, Ikegami victorious in the ATC. What a weekend he's had. Third yesterday, fastest today, and top spot as well. And I say fastest because on a number of occasions throughout that race, he proved that he really had the rhythm to outmatch and outstretch both Ojiwara and Mitani. I think that is a deserved victory. Mitani will be disappointed out, but in terms of the championship, he yet again stretches it out. And we'll head on to Thailand in 3 weeks' time with the number 2 having a couple of opportunities of wrapping up that 2024 crown. He won't do it in the opening race, 71. His leads now, but certainly Sunday morning at the Chang International Circuit, I've got a strong belief that we may well see the number 2 being victorious in 2024. That was the mistake. At that point, he was around about a second adrift, and you thought that it was game over. But boy, did he respond.
Yeah, phenomenal stuff from Ikegami, running wide at turn 11, losing a good second, as Jack says, and then not even a lap it took him to bridge the gap. Great stuff from the number 14, and then made his way up into second place at turn 3 on the final lap. And then it was all about this, the run down into turn 11. Mitani on the wet patch, of course. Oh, Ikegami chopping his nose off.
Was
potentially a little bit naughty, but Mitani late on the brakes into turn 11, got it stopped as well. That was phenomenal from Mitani, it has to be said. But the run out of the final corner, this was it. Ojiwara doing his best as well. A nice bit of slipstream from Ikegami, and it is a long run down to the finish line. That was the starting grid, and there it is, you can see. We saw it live. Not quite a photo finish as we had back in Indonesia, but it doesn't get much closer than that. Ikegami, of course, super pleased. Mitani, you don't want to lose any race, but missing it on the line is obviously probably more painful than most, but a fantastic race from all three of those riders. And Ikegami, I think I agree with Jack, a deserved winner across the two races. He deserves one in 2024 and he's finally got it.
I have to say, when Ikegami came back across the front wheel of Mitani, there was a slight puff of smoke there. I think there was contact between the two of them, and if there was, dearie me, they're both extremely lucky to have stayed on. Thank goodness they did. We were treated to that epic run to the line. ATC delivers again. We've had a pair of great encounters this weekend, just like we did last weekend in Mandalika as well. Although the championship says otherwise, with a runaway leader in the form of Mitani, it certainly has been competitive and close at the front. The only constant is the fact that Mitani's been inside the top two. That run continues. Someone needs to have a word with him. Out of a possible 200 points, he's dropped 15 now. Not good enough.
Yeah, disappointing P2, not for Zen Mitani then here in Japan. Ikegami, though, the race winner. Shout out to Ikegami, fantastic stuff. A debut win in the ATC. Mitani and Ojiwara, fantastic. Less than a tenth of a second split in the top three. Takahira again doing well to get up into P4. And what about the wildcard rider, Idaka, a P5 from the front row, only 8 seconds off the win. What a performance from the wildcard here on home turf. Hafai ended up 6th, Singapong 7th, Takamoto, another rookie, a Japanese rookie inside the top 8. Russo and Schmitz complete your top 10 in that battle with Takamoto for the lower ends of the top 10. Dakigan, Tanashot, Pratumthong, Ramadipa did climb his way back up into the points after that early scare with his boot getting trapped into the rear wheel. So Ramadipa picking up a couple of points in P14, and Zakan was your final point scorer. And here is the riders' standings. Mitani 71 points clear, heading to the Chan International Circuit in 3 weeks' time. Takahira, his chief chaser still, but after no podiums on home turf, that lead has grown, and it's looking ever so likely that in Thailand the title could be wrapped up. Ojiwara third on 105 points. Ikegami, the rookie, rises to P4, notches up 100 points so far for Ikegami. Fantastic stuff as Ramadipa drops to P5 on 96. Singapong, Hafai, Takamoto, Russo and Chavan are your top 10 in the overall standings. Chavan on 42 points, Dakigan in P11 on 37. Schmitz, after a great weekend, a couple of top 10s, now has 35 points. Pratumthong, Tanashot, Idaka on 20. The wildcard rider rises to 15th in the overall standings again. Another shout out to the wildcard rider. Fantastic stuff on his opening weekends in the Asia Talent Cup, and I think we'll be seeing plenty more of that name in the years to come in the Asia Talent Cup and beyond. So, podium time, and in the sunshine as well. What a treat. We've not had sun all weekend here in Japan from Thursday to Sunday, so a treat for the fans to be without their raincoats on. Treat for us to see what a fantastic race, and a treat, of course, with the trio of Japanese riders standing on the podium on Sunday at the Japanese Grand Prix in front of their home crowd. It doesn't get much better than that. Third place then going the way of Ojiwara, second yesterday, third today, a couple of trophies taken home from his home GP. He'll be disappointed, of course, not to stand on the top step, but nonetheless he was in the victory fight throughout, so he can take great pride from that. Mitani keeps up his record of either winning or finishing second in 2024. What a run Mitani is on the number 2 machine. It is a matter of when, not if, the title in 2024 goes to the number 2. What about Ikegami? Fantastic stuff from the rookie. He stands on the top step of the podium in Japan, and the Japanese national anthem will ring around in a minute or so's time for Ikegami here at Motegi. Hopefully they've packed some room in their suitcases. They've got a few weekends off now. We have a weekend off in the Grand Prix paddock, then head to Phillip Island, and then we'll be going to the Chang International Circuit in Buriram for the penultimate round of the ATC before we go to Malaysia for the final 2 races. Will the title be wrapped up before then? We think so. So that doesn't mean it's any less likely that we're going to get some fantastic racing as we've seen today. Ikegami, his first race winner's trophy in the ATC. He'll be pleased with that, I'm sure. Now he'll be pleased to stand on the top step of the podium and hear his national anthem, the Japanese national anthem, here on Sunday morning in Motegi. Phenomenal stuff then for all three riders to hear their national anthem ring around the Mobility Resort Motegi. Congratulations to all three on a fantastic couple of races here. The same top three as race one, class of the field this weekend here in Japan, with these trio of Japanese riders who I'm sure we'll be seeing plenty more of in the ATC and on the road to MotoGP in the future. Here we go then, highlights of race two on a pretty much dry circuit while the sun was shining, and we were treated to an absolute spellbinder once again. Motegi from pole position on the number two, got the whole shot as he did in race one. Hapai got a good start from the middle of the front row on the number 19, the Malaysian, after crashing out yesterday on the opening lap. Got a good start, but the top three from yesterday quickly made their way to the top three in race two. This was what happened to Ramadipa. We didn't quite see it at first, but on the replay you saw he's got a boot stuck in the rear end of his machine, in the rear wheel. So unfortunately for Ramadipa, that was his race for the podium and top five over, but he did come back to the points, did the Indonesian. Glad to see that he was all okay after that one, but it was all about the battle at the front. Ikegami on the 14, Ojiwara on the 16 and Motegi on the number 2. This was in the closing stages. Ikegami running wide down at turn 11, losing about a second, but within a lap he was back up with Motegi and Ojiwara on the 2 and 16. This was down into turn 11 on the penultimate lap. Motegi making his move, Ojiwara up the inside as well, as we strapped in for another final lap. Motegi led the way, Ikegami climbing up to P2, and this was the run to the line. We thought Motegi got the job done after fending so well into turn 11, but Ikegami, a fantastic run out of victory corner, a little bit of slipstream to help, and he won by 26 thousandths of a second. How close do you like it in the ATC? Thank you for watching here in Japan. A little bit of a break now, but we'll be back with you in Thailand. We'll see you there. Enjoy race day.